Monday, June 22nd, 2026. The time is 10:38 a.m. And I'm not gonna be long, even though I say that sometimes it goes long. But I titled this one Why You Can't Be Pro-Black and Date Out. And I've been meaning to talk about this for the longest, but I just never got around to it. But what prompted me to do it this morning was I saw this post that I was engaging with this sister. And she was saying that I thought I was pro-black, even though she has a white bed partner. She says, I thought I was pro-black, and then she went to reel off all of these things that she's done by getting a degree in these type of black studies, doing like counseling work for black children and all of these things. And that's all that well and dandy. And she named a whole lot of things. And I said, well, it's interesting that you all consider yourself pro-black until you name the reasons why you decided to date out. And then you are anti-black and pro-white. And in her explanations, this is what it never fails, whether it's a black male or a black female. It never fails. Whenever they begin to name and say all of these reasons why they chose, non-black people, but specifically white people, it's always like the inabilities of black people to do something. And it's in her case, she was like, um, someone that she chose based off of like love, affection, all of these things. Somebody that wouldn't leave her, when she was going through mental health battles. And then she said, "Well, I'm not trying to say black men aren't capable of these things. I'm just saying why." And that is one of the main reasons because being quote unquote pro black, like to me, that's the starter kit. To me, that's the starter kit. When we say pro life or pro choice or whatever, pro whatever, to me, in my opinion, whose opinion? In my opinion, it's just saying you're for something. So if you're a black person saying I'm pro black, that's like the bare minimum that you can do, right? Like, I mean, we have fallen so far off course that we feel like there's a there's an achievement for loving your own people, right? We're so far off course that we give like praises to black men or black male athletes that decided to marry a black spouse or raise their black children, which is always funny when I hear LeBron James fans say, they say, well, y'all should give him credit for, marrying a black woman and raising his black children without having a father. Like, that's the bare minimum that we can do, right? So, like, to me, when you say pro black, that's basic, right? Um, Another reason why is because it clouds your vision. Whether it's been Eve, whether it's been a lot of people, I guarantee you that Serena Williams is not allowed to really, 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 really talk about oppressive black situations that she might feel. She might gloss over the state of Compton. She might gloss over a few things, but she's not gonna really harp on anything that will make her white bed partner feel bad, right? And it clouds your vision when you're in these situations because, and I've seen it so many times, like on panels, and I've seen black women in these panels fighting for their white mates, right? And they're fighting for their white mates. And whenever they're talking about what is it that they do for them, it's always the most basic things. Like I remember engaging, and I don't shame them. Let me tell you something. I don't shame a person for their choices until they behave shamefully. Like whenever, because I believe that there are levels to their levels of understanding, right? Some people are over there just because they quote unquote found love, right? But some people are over there because they are just tap dancing raccoons and it's like a spite thing. And when they get over there, they decide to say the most Uncle Ruckus, worst things that they can say. And they build these people up on a pedestal, right? But I was on a panel with a black female, and she was, trying to explain um as to why and what her mate did for her. But it was like basic things. And then when we would get to like more in-depth questions, okay, and we would say, well, how does your white mate use their voices for quote unquote pro-black issues? And they'll say things like, well, they support it. He's super supportive. I appreciate you being the only viewer, right? He's super supportive. He supports these things. They never go into detail, but notice when they're bigging them up, they try to go into detail of how they were so nurturing, how they rescued them from this state, how they did these certain things. And notice, this is what I always say. I said, well, notice in the state of dating that black people that aren't aware are let me see what's the word I want to use, that are deaf, dumb, and blind to healthy blackness and healthy black love, and that they are aware that there are good black people out here, right? Notice that when they talk about the dating scene, notice they never can find any good black people. No matter what's going on, they're always going to find. This is how you know their mind is skewed. This is how you know they have been warped, because every encounter they've had with black people is always the most terrible situation. Oh, this person was so manipulative. Oh, this person did this. Oh, this person, they can reel off 50 terrible things about black people. But notice when they found a white person, notice when they found a white bed partner. They always find good white people. They can never find a bad white person. They're always going to find them to be the most loving. And we know that just looking at history, that it's never indicative of that. Like, let me have a certain topic on here, and they're in my comments saying the most racist, foul, fried chicken, watermelon, buckwheat, all of these things. And they're always in droves. I don't care what platform I'm on. If I'm making a conversation or I'm talking about a topic that they don't agree with, the first thing they lead to is these negative stereotypes. And I'm like, well, how do y'all manage to find in the world, especially with this administration, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of racism? How do y'all always just happen to always find the good white people? You can never find good black ones. So that's another way. It skews it clouds your vision. You don't feel comfortable talking about black situations because you don't want to make them feel bad. Isn't that what critical race theory? Why they talk about critical race theory? Whenever they're using these tap dancing Negroes, the first thing these people say when they talk about why they like the whole critical race theory or they're for it, one thing they'll say is, "I don't want my children to learn separation. I don't want my children," and that's the whole thing for it. That's the whole thing why they're fighting, because they don't want us to have a critical way that we're looking at history. They don't want us to look at anything through a critical lens that might make white people feel bad, right? And so when I told her that, now she hasn't gotten back to me with the reply, but when I told her the most pro-black thing you can do is to create a strong black family. That's one of the most political things that you can do. But somehow they're always going to find, and I think that they just want to put themselves in a situation. But no, you cannot be pro-black. That's just like you cannot be straight and you actively and continuously participate in homosexual activity. You just can't be straight. I know a lot of them would like to think that they're straight, but if you are with the same sex, I don't care what you do, you are not a straight person. And it's these things of allowing themselves to want to move the goalposts to make their emotional state feel better. But pro-black means you're for the betterment on a basic level. We've already covered that pro-black is basic. So on a basic level, you're for anything that advances the betterment of the black race. And how can you do that when you create mixed children? Now, do I have anything against mixed people? Absolutely not. But when it comes to those same things, I remember watching an episode of A Different World growing up. And this is when they had Lena, or Jada Pickett's character, Lena. And notice Lena was always quote unquote pro black, radical, however you want to name it. And I remember, I think it was during the LA Watts Riot episode, if I'm not mistaken. And they were talking about basically like oppression. And this is why you can't talk around people that have a dual citizenship. I'll say it like that. That have two nations within them, right? Within their household, within their parenting, or whatever. This is why you can't talk and have these conversations around them, because depending on their conscious level and how they look at westernized or white people, they're going to be offended. And so they were talking about like it was the Watts riot, Rodney King, Latasha Harlins, all of that was going on. And Jada Pinkett made a comment talking about like quote unquote bad white people. And Freddie, who we knew was mixed, got offended. And she wanted to lead with, well, do you mean that same thing about my mother? And Lena's character was like, Freddie, you know I'm not talking about your mother. That is why you have to be careful, because you end up creating confusion unknowingly. And you have these children that they want to be offended. And whenever I'm on these panels and we're having these type of topics, right? And whenever the mixed children will come in and they're coming in emotionally upset, right? They're coming in to be offended, right? And notice they want equality. They want to be treated fairly. They want to be seen as fair, right? But whenever they feel that their backs are against the wall, right? And I've seen it on a 70%, 75, 70 to 75% basis, right? That whenever these mixed children's back are against the wall, and they feel that you're making, and you might not even say anything directly about their parent, right? But they feel it, and they will start to lash out and start to say the same stereotypes and the same insults that white people say to you. And it's like, there it is. Their desired manner comes out. And next thing you know, they start saying, they start using those same white supremacist talking points. You guys are always victims. You guys, because you have to have a cultural awareness. I've always said, and I was a young father, so I didn't get it. I wasn't consciously aware to do this. But as I've gotten older, I've always said that it is important to tell a black child, male or female, to not date outside their race. And do not allow these white people and others and these raccoons to make you feel bad and say you're being prejudiced and you're being racist. Number one, your words alone cannot hold racism. No matter what I would like to say about this administration, it will not impact or affect any way how they're making those laws. No matter what I will say about Clarence Thomas, it will not impact what the Supreme Court is doing. But that's a guilt trip that they try to lay on you because you're holding the line and you have clarity. See, their job is to mess with your clarity, to bring confusion and subterfuge to you, right? So I think that everybody owes it to them to say, yo, don't date outside your race. Every child deserves to hear that just once, right? But you know, that's the thing because as I always say, and if you listen to my lives long enough, I always say understanding is one of the highest levels of consciousness, right? Because when you have a level of understanding, now we can have a conversation. This is why I refuse to talk to racist white people because they lack that level of understanding. I was on a panel last night, and the first thing the white boy wanted to say to me, listen up, you N-word boy. And they feel that that lack of self-control makes them something, right? So you have to know who you give your energy to. I see these comments, but see, you can never let white people, even though they are the inventors of it, never let them tell you you're being racist. Never let them tell you that. Never let them tell you you're being racist when we're in 2026 and we're still talking about being the first black anything. Right? So, like I said, this is not a shaming thing. No, date where you want to date. Vote where you want to vote. I'm not gonna say do what thou wilt, but your voting right is your voting right. Your abortion right is your abortion right, right? So no matter whether we agree with something like, okay, somebody said in one of my comments, they said, well, because I said in my last video pertaining to whenever they throw up and say all lives matter, right? And whenever when white people saying all lives matter, they're just saying it to be ridiculous. Like they really don't care about the state of life, right? And so I said, well, all lives matter until it's about abortion rights. And the person didn't agree with it, right? So again, that's why it's called a right. I don't agree in abortion. I don't agree with abortion, but I agree with a person's right to do whatever they want to do with their body. So if somebody, I remember a family member came to me a couple of years back and they asked me, what do I think that they should do? And I flat out told them no. But I supported their choices of whatever they wanted to do, right? But when it comes to me, if you ask me, do I think that you should delete this baby? Absolutely not, because that baby has a divine right to live. There's a reason that that baby is created. So whenever you're always going to get that. You're never going to get me to tell you to do that, right? But I'm quote unquote pro-choice, whatever that is. Right? Right? So that's what I want to say. Like, these are some of the reasons why you can't be pro-black and date outside because it no, because it creates confusion. It creates confusion within you because let's say you do find a good white person, right? That will cloud your vision to make you think that the whole collective is like that. It's like the John Brown effect, which is why I don't like this whole John Brown thing. And whenever I talk about the John Brown thing, and they say, "Well, he was this abolitionist, and he did this, and blah 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 blah." But whenever I think about John Brown, you're always under their leadership. You're always see. There's a zero sum game with them, right? You might have some that's good, and I feel like this whole John Brown thing has created a bunch of confusion within our people. So we spend more time looking for the John Browns than the stand up black men and black women. We spend more time looking for white validation than black people that are healthy, right? So I really feel like the John Brown thing did more of a disservice because it creates this fallacy that there are these people. Now, are there quote unquote allies? Perhaps, right? So the best thing that I like when I'm on a platform and I see when white people do, I like to see white people call out other white people. That's the best thing that they can do. Like when you're complicit and you make excuses for a dookie done, you're not a good person. Oh, you can be black, white, whatever. If you're complicit and you're making excuses for this administration, you're not a good person. Because sure, you could have been duped into voting for him because I believe that he ran a masterful campaign on a mind screw job. I think that he sold people America. I think that he sold them this better America. He sold them the American dream, right? But we all know what happens whenever you're dreaming. Whenever you're dreaming, what are you doing? Hmm? For the slow ones in the back. Whenever you're dreaming, what is your current state? Your sleep. So I think that what he did good was he sold America to the people that believe in American democracy, a better America, a chance to make America great again, right? He sold that to the people, right? But and sidebar before I get back into that, I remember this one white guy always stay in my mind, the one that was really pissed off about his Trump phones. And he wanted, and I wonder has he gotten them phones? Probably not. And he was saying how, how now he realizes because he's been duped and he's been hoodwinked, and now he kind of realizes that he voted for a liar. But what's always funny, back to my point, but what's always funny is for the ones that have voted for him repetitively and repeatedly. They voted for him every time. And on this third term, they'll say, I no longer support him because he's a liar. Well, he was a liar the first time you voted for him. But you were so clouded by American justice and America that you didn't understand, right? So, to me, you can't be a good person. If you still watch and see what's going on and what this current administration is doing and you make excuses for them, you're not a good person. You're not, right? So all of these things, like I think that, like I said in the beginning, and I'm about to land my plane. I think that when we're talking about like pro-black, that's the most basic thing you can do. Like you don't hear American whites run around talking about, how proud they are to be just pro-white. Well, you know they are. Well, let me take that back. Let me take that back. Because they are. They but it's not a thing to say, hey, you know, nobody gives a shit that Tom Hanks has a white wife. Let me say it like that, right? Because they understand that they want to marry within. That make Tom Hanks a racist. Tom Hanks just values his women. Nobody gives a shit that white celebrities are married to white males. Nobody gives a shit. But for those ones that constantly want to, because what they want to do, and I'm going to land my plane. What they do is they want to redefine, and they don't want to feel any guilt, right? You know what? Reading these comments, this is why. This is why we could never get along because there's a bunch of buckethead white people in your comments just saying the most ignorant things. Their ignorance, the ignorance is in their bloodline. Like a lot of times I say, no. Do I hate white people? Absolutely not. I don't know all white people. It is not their white skin that is the problem. It is their degenerate blood. This is why a movie that I always like watch and I'll tell people to watch is like Leatherface or any Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that the Sawyer Bloodline and watching the series or watching the movies on the Sawyer Bloodline, it it sums up it sums up white people, especially in because it shows them as somebody talking about culture in my comments, right? And I'm not gonna read these loser comments, right? But with the Leatherface, it shows them. It shows incest. It shows necrophilia. It shows a lot of things, but more so, it shows their degenerate psychopathic nature, right? So I believe it was one. I forget. I think it was the one with Matthew McConaughey, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of those Texas Chainsaw movies. And they had like this dude that looked like a politician, and he was dressed up in a suit. You know, he looked like a normal politician. And I can't think. I think it was Renee Zellweger. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself in the comments. But he came into the house, and whoever the person that they was holding against their will, I think it was Renee Zellweger, because they love to hold people against their will, right? And she's thinking that he's healthy, and she's like, "Oh, good, please help me." And he begins to take it, and he begins to like. I think he takes off his suit jacket, and he's just as degenerate as them. He's a part of them. So I say that to say that they can look well dressed on the outside. They can look like Mike Johnson. They can look like a lot of these quote unquote political figures. So you can put a suit and you can put, well, as the old saying says, you can put lipstick on a pig, but guess what? It's still a pig. So they can be well dressed, but the psychopathic nature is within them. Like I always say this, and they prove me right. They're doing it right now. Like all of these good white people, because most of them consider themselves good. Most of them don't consider themselves racist. Even though they walk around and say a bunch of they privately say a bunch of the chill the builder stuff, right? And because they're of their psychopathic nature, they feel that free speech is them disrespecting people. Like Chud, in his mind, he doesn't understand why he can't walk up to people and just say these things because they don't have a normal mindset. These aren't normal people, right? So it's not every white person. No, it's not every white person. But the thing that I watch out for is when they're in collectives. Because there's one thing that the book 100 Years of Lynching teaches. It teaches like how even police officers can't control them. Like when they're in packs and mobs, because they're like wild animals, so they hunt in packs, right? So whenever they're in packs or mobs, they overpower the police. Like there are so many. What book am I talking about? I'm gonna show you. 100 Years of Lynching by Ralph Ginsburg. And in this, it shows you like this is why what was his name? Jake Lang. This is why Jake Lang felt so emboldened to say that that young man, Carmelo Anthony, should be hanging from like strange fruit, right? And this is why he sent that threat out to say that, you know, if the jury didn't find him guilty, that he would take matters into his own hands, right? Because he is his ancestors. So get to back on the book 100 Years of Lynching, there are several articles, and that is facts. That's not my opinion. That is facts. Those are news articles. There are several news articles where they just go into the police station and they'll apprehend their suspect and just take them out and make strange fruit. They will totally this was like almost like January 6th before January 6th. As I always say, MAGA before MAGA, right? This is why MAGA feels so good to them. This is why Trump was saying a golden era. And the stupid blacks like Lorenzo Soel, the stupid black people like what's the other one? What's the other one that's with him that sucks up? Um, I got his face in my name. I'll call his name in a minute. But the thing of the Byron Donald, the thing that they don't understand, see, when he's talking about a golden era, he's talking about like the things that happened in that book, 100 Years of Lynching, right? He's not talking about, see, the thing that the people like the Stephen A. Smiths of the world, and this is why they are the lowest of the low because you have to live again. This is why you can't be pro-black because you have to suspend your level of intelligence, right? You have to live in a lot of times of pretending you don't see things. So Stephen A. Smith, he has to pretend that he doesn't see things, right? A lot of them they have to pretend that they don't see things. Because what they want to do, they feel like if they pretend and they shuck and they jive, it's going to save them somehow. But they don't understand, right? So when you see people like Chud the Builder, when you see like all of these ones, because I feel like Chud the Builder was a test run. He's a test dummy, right? He's a test dummy he's a precursor of how the behavior will be going forward. Because now you hear more than ever white people saying, "You're tipping out. You're tipping out. You're tipping out." Right? But the whole time they're telling you that you lack ability to behave, right? Which is why I see all of these comments. Because see what they want to do, they are the masters of confusion. They are the masters of moving the goalposts. They want you to talk about what they want you to talk about and get you all confused and get you all off your topic and make you see things from the way they see it. But a lot of them, their head is so far up Trump's anus, they don't see anything. They might see his swollen ankles when they're sticking their head up there. That's about the only thing they see. So I don't care if you're black, white, Mexican, Asian, whatever. If you think what this administration is doing is a good thing, you're not a good person. You're not a good person at all. Right? Suppressing suppressing what we have to say still works on the left. Why can't you be pro-white and date out? I don't care about people being pro-white, right? And here they go with Harris. And their answer is always Biden, Harris, Biden, Biden, Biden. That's all they know to say, but they'll tell, they spent a lot of yesterday and the day before on another platform of mine. And the only thing they say is, you guys were deflecting blame everybody. And then here's this pool debacle, this reflection pool debacle of this Trump administration. And again, he's the king. This is what he's the king of, y'all. He's the king of always blaming somebody else. So he spent all of this and he's wasted all of this money on this reflection pool, only for it to be filled with algae and now it's green. You know why? Because everything Dookie does turns to shit. But wait, there's more. Who do he turns around to blame? He blames people for vandalizing. And what was funny about the news headline or the news reporter, they was like, he's saying all of these people were arrested, but he hasn't provided any proof. And he never provides any proof. Because again, this is why he says smart people don't like me. Because he knows his not so smart likers, he can feed them anything and they will say. He will say they will believe anything he says. So and now to pour more money and waste more money on this reflection pool, he will say that it was vandalized, so it needs to be made to look pretty because he's all about image. He's all about vanity. That's why I like another movie I like is The Devil's Advocate. And Al Pacino says vanity gets you every time. Right? So he's the president of vanity. That's why he'll say, I don't like to be around successful people. He actually says this shit. He actually says these things. He says, I don't like to be around successful people. I like to be around people so I can talk about my success. And one thing he is honest, which is why a lot of these super duper supportive voters that's upset now and they don't support him now, I don't want to hear you crying. Because he told people from the start exactly what he was going to do. It's like a contradiction and hypocrisy because it's him, right? So you can say he didn't lie, but he lies. Right? So this is why he says smart people don't like me. Smart people don't like me because they don't fall for my lies, basically. He says they don't like the things we talk about. No, we pick up on the BS that you talk about, right? So that's pretty much my thing. I just wanted to come share some of my views, some of my points, right? And they can't help themselves. I mean, the comments I'm seeing all type of they can't help themselves in the comments because they don't understand. This is what I want to. I'm talking to my viewers, not talking to you goofies in the comments. They don't have. They don't understand functional behavior. So this is why they act like, before I go, I made a post the other day and I said, well, Caitlin Clark is one of the many examples of white fatigue. And it must be exhausting for the referee that doesn't have the whistle for her. But it must be exhausting trying to officiate her. It must be exhausting playing with her. And it must be exhausting playing against her, right? And for the ones that say black fatigue is real, see, this is what I mean about the psychopathic behavior. Right before I get back to Caitlin Clark, right? Black fatigue is real, but they sit in my life and won't go anywhere. This is the crazy nature of them. I'm talking to my people, right? That the thought process of the Ken or the Karen that they will follow you a country mile and say you're bothering them. Oh, but back to what I was saying. Caitlin Clark, she has to be exhausting playing with and playing against her because her mentality, her behavior. Remember what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about all white people. I'm talking about the behavior, their collective behavior, right? Or the behavior of the ones that are full westernized or whatever, however we want to call it. She walks around in constant rage. She walks around a constant victim. She initiates contact, and when she doesn't get it, she has a psychopathic meltdown. That is the nature of them. It is in them, right? So it has to be exhausting. It has to be exhausting playing with her because a lot of times this is what they don't want to understand. See, they can take digs at our ability to parent. But one thing you always know, two things for sure, is that black children always had manners. And I always say And this was in the autobiography of Malcolm X, where they talked about how much easier the white girls were and how easy and white girls would put out more than the black girls. Black girls were more reserved, right? So whenever we would see the behavior, especially like I remember the show that used to come on MTV. It was like 16 and Pregnant. Like this is shows you who they are. Like 16 and Pregnant, Hoarders, Wife Swap. All of these things show you their mentality, right? So in 16 and Pregnant, you see right then how white children talk to their parents. F you, mom. You're such a B. I hate you. They talk so disrespectful. Ooh. Look, Carrie Ann is so disrespectful. Right? So they were always, this is why they are the school pum pums. They want us to, and it's so circular talking to them, right? They want us to say, well, why don't you guys talk about Chicago? Chicago, and then they give you these bogus numbers. So many people were unalived in the weekend over Chicago. Okay, well, how come y'all never talk about school pum-pums? Like that is the equivalent. Like they will go through a school like they're playing Duck Hunt on Nintendo. But I always tell you, what do I always tell y'all? It's not about criminality. It's about how they want you to look at it. See, they always want to be the people that define things, right? They said fatigue, but look, they can't get enough of comment in my life. They're so fatigued, but they can't stop them fingers from tapping. Ah, you ain't too fatigued. When will those fingers get fatigued? Right? They always want to be the ultimate definers of things. And they want to be able to define where you can sit and where you can go and who can stand here and who can't. One second. Who can stand here? Who can't? What this means versus what that means. They constantly want to move the goalposts, right? You're not fatigued. You're not fatigued. Look, I told you, one poop stain said, I'm fatigued for sure, and then proceeded to, and again, I'm talking to my viewers, right? I want to show you their behavior. He says he's fatigued, but then follow up with another comment. Oh man. I tell you what y'all are. You're nosy. You always want to know where black people live. Somebody said, and I see all your comments, by the way. Somebody said, "Oh, great, another post or another video about race," and they always seem so flabbergasted. I am flabbergasted at the things he's talking about because y'all want me to be like Byron Donald. Y'all would love it if I was up here talking about singing Dookie Donnie praises and talking about how you guys are the victims and how you would love it if I talked like Jason Whitlock. You would love me. See, the only difference is the words that are coming out of my mouth. So this is how your fatigue works. You sit in somebody's life like a pack of buzzards or like a pack of wild dogs, right? And you just type over and over and over and over. Because what you want to do is you always want to command and colonize the space, right? That's what you guys are. You guys are inherently colonizers, right? And you want to colonize a space. This is why this is why Austin Metcalf felt like he had the right to walk up and say whether somebody moved. And this is where the goofy blacks say, well, he should have just gotten up and walked away. It's the way he's raised. It's the way he's raised. But they walk up to him to tell him where to go. Like it never will make sense in their mind. So again, to my people, not to them in the comments, don't try to make sense of what they're saying. Do not try to make sense of the senseless, right? because that's exactly what they are. They are. Like no matter and whenever you really listen to a real staunch Trump supporter, oh my goodness. I'm talking about when you listen to a real staunch Trump supporter. Like I heard one fool say, and this is exactly what he was. He said something, I'm paraphrasing. He was like, basically he could unalive somebody on the White House steps and he would be okay with that. And it's like, what level of crazy is this? What level? And let me tell you, see how they just constantly type is like how Trump sits up and constantly types all night on Twitter or X. This is why he falls asleep so much. This is why he can't stay awake. Because number one, he's either up pecker watching because he loves men. He loves men. He can't. I remember he could not stop talking about Arnold Palmer's tallywhacker. So he's always pecker watching. So he's either up all night pecker watching because nothing ever is good coming out of that head of his. Nothing good. He's never thinking of anything positive in that head of his, right? Or he's up all night tweeting like a psychopath, like they're doing, just back to back to back comments about nothing. And these are the people that will tell you about what's normal. See, that's the thing, the power to define. Nothing I'm saying behind this microphone, again, for the slow ones in the back of the class, nothing that I say behind this microphone can impact how y'all eat, your education, the way your children are educated, because it's always power. Hello? It's it's YOU apostrophe RE, your normal, as in you are. See, this is one thing. See, and if y'all are gonna try to be such smart asses in the comments, at least be smart. You guys don't understand there, and there, lose and lose, your, but you're busy trying to be smart in somebody's comments. How foolish of you. Because right now you're not thinking. See, again, you're proving my point because it's just white rage. It's just redneck rage in my comments, and you are so filled with emotion right now. You're not even thinking straight. Oh, you're not thinking straight because you focus on trying to say hateful things. That's what makes racism and racist stupid. Because you will lose out. Your grannies and whoever you. I don't think y'all have me moms or nanas. Health insurance matter too, right? But this is what's spitting in the wind. You love it. The fact that if you could just feel like black people are suffering or non-whites are suffering, you don't care about your family suffering just as long as you feel like non-whites could suffer. And that is the stupidity of racism. That is the stupidity of the racist mind. Like, you guys aren't smart at all, right? But anyway, several reasons why you cannot be pro-black and date out. Because number one, you might end up with one of these troubling people in my comments. And I told you there's a zero sum. They feel like their way is, what was that dude name? Was his name Brian Koberger? The one that unalived everybody in the house. Y'all sure have a thing with unaliving people in mass numbers. Was his name Brian Koberger? How come y'all don't speak on that? Even though they did a nice documentary on it. And see, when I say, let me say it for the slow ones in the back, because I always got to talk to y'all. When I say why y'all don't speak on it, it doesn't mean Netflix speaking on it. When I say why don't y'all speak on Timothy Hudson, it doesn't mean the news speaking on it. When I say why don't you speak on it, why aren't you enraged about Timothy Hudson? the way you're enraged about Carmelo Anthony? Why aren't y'all saying he should be strange fruit for what he did to his stepsister? That's what I mean for the slow people in the back. When I say, why aren't y'all speaking on it? Because guess what? It doesn't matter to you. Anything for you to build up all of this animosity. Because you always have to have a rival, right? That's how cults are formed, right? One of the ways a cult is formed is create this us versus them mentality, right? So followers of Dookie, this is what y'all do. Y'all think that it's everybody against him. It is actually the opposite around, right? So when I ask that question, why aren't you guys bothered by that? Listen, let me read more of their psychopathic because they're so tired of me since you guys are so tired of me. Let me read how tired again with your 5011 comments. I'm just radicalizing more right. They don't need me to radicalize them. They don't need me. Oh man. Look, keep it up, buddy. There's more of us than you. And that's what I said, y'all. That's why y'all hunt in packs, right? Because you need the number game. That's why y'all run around crying about the great replacement theory, and we're gonna be replaced, and I don't have no right place to ride my horse, and I'm going to be replaced. There's no place for the white boy. The white boy will be obsolete. Please save us, Dookie. And Dookie comes with them swollen ankles, and he does what y'all need. Listen, we're not worried. We've been facing those numbers for years. We've faced those numbers for years. Again, let me give you this book, not for y'all, but for my viewers. Numbers. You guys had number games. There was never one on one. Whenever they came to get a black person, it was 10, 15, 20. So yes, there's always more of you than us because that's how cowards hunt. You need to know Billy Bob gonna help you. So you'll go knock on Billy Bob's door. Billy Bob, get up off your sister, man. Got us some blacks to hang. And Billy Bob get his extra humps in on his sister and tell his sister not to tell mom what they've been doing. And Billy Bob goes out and he go gets Tommy Joe. And Tommy Joe goes out and he go get Leland. And Leland goes out and y'all hunt in packs. We know this. Aware black people know this. But the thing about us, we're not sitting in your comments. We don't sit in your comments and just talk tirelessly. Right? But you can't help it. You're drawn to my post like Donald Trump is to a sex worker. Oh man, you can't help it. You're drawn to my videos like him to lies, and we know how he loves to lie. Your YOURE, stupid. Let me help y'all. Your YOUR is possession. So when you say you're the one still talking out of my, so you did have it correct when you say out of my blank 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 because you showed possession. But when you're trying to be a smart ass, you're gonna say YOU''RE, you're as in you are. Stupid. Like all of that y'all do to have better education and you still can't spell. You do all of this talking about how smart you are and how y'all have better education, and you still can't spell. You still can't use proper grammar. You still can't use proper punctuation. But y'all have better education. You're wasting it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how this is why he likes y'all because how low educated y'all are. Like you just don't understand. Not only do you not understand life, you just don't even understand. But you constantly in my comments and watch. The more I say this, the more y'all still are gonna type that stupid your. But anyway, I enjoy you losers helping me because you losers push me out. And you losers like to just sit here and do loser shit. And let's just say loser things. Let me say that. But anyway, yes, low educated. All those jobs and no edu and it's in reverse. And look, that's what I said. Y'all just come in and say he has no job, but you in my I have no job, but you in my comments. You're doing the same thing I'm doing, except you're on the other end of the phone like I'm on the other end. Again, more stupidity. President Trump is winning. And you know what? Hold up. What's your name? Regina. That's your name. Regina, let me speak to you real quick, Regina. You know, they showed something. This was probably a month or two ago. And this is how he brainwashes y'all. Where he created a post and it was just him repetitively saying winning, 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 winning. And this went on over and over and over. And that's how you brainwash the people. So, Regina, when you say President Trump is winning, I already know where you are. I already know. Because winning at what? I just want to talk to Regina. I don't want to talk to the rest of you inbred losers. Regina, what is he winning at? If you're still in my life, what when you say he's winning, Regina, what is he winning at? Any of you losers can respond. Losers, tell me what Trump is winning at. Everything. No, 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 no. Don't tell me everything. Give me two things specifically, Regina, that he's winning at. I tell you one thing. Look, I give you something recently. He can't even fix the damn pool, the reflection pool correctly. No, no, Regina. No. Yeah, he's winning that, destroying America. You can say that. But Regina, what is he? That's all y'all gonna say. Okay, close borders. Y'all always gonna say that. What is he winning? You said everything. So give me another thing, Regina. What is he winning at? Okay, you said closed border. You said everything. So you should be able to reel him off, Regina, because you saying he winning, winning, winning. Regina, did you watch that damn video of him repeating winning? I told y'all I don't want to talk to the rest of y'all losers. I asked Regina a question. And the rest of you losers, you see now you showing you just like the rest of them pack of dogs, Regina. EBT queens gone. I told you, see, this is what I mean. See, they think that only black people are on assistance. So they don't understand that their poor white counterparts are on it as well. But again, they would starve their own just so if it felt that we could eat. All right, so you said that. You said EBT. What else, Regina? Because you said everything. Like they have again, I told you, they have nothing. They just have I think that you guys have a script. And I think that this script has been passed down from your great grandparents. And It's just y'all read it over and over and you repeat it to your children and they repeat it to theirs because it's always the same thing. I don't care if I've watched video footage from the 70s, or let's go back from the 50s, the 60s, 70s, up until now, right? I don't care if I've watched footage of white people explaining their problem with it. It's always the same thing. It's always the same book of ridiculousness. Regina, I should screenshot this comment. Hold on, I got to go back to Regina. Regina said $1 gas. Now, Regina, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. $1 gas coming soon. Thanks, Trump. See, this is what I mean when I say this is how he won the election. He appealed to their ignorance. So Regina thinks that $1 gas is gonna be the thing. Maybe cheaper. Now you look, Regina. Now you just saying stuff. Now you don't believe that. Okay, so real ballpark figure. I told y'all I'm not talking to the rest of y'all losers. Regina don't talk with sense, but somehow she talks with 0 sense, but somehow she talks with more sense than the rest of you in my comments, right? So Regina, you said maybe cheaper. So give me a prediction. What is Regina's prediction? You said $1 gas or maybe sooner. What do you think? Like, what do you think the final price will be once he fixes this? No, it definitely is a cult. Because they just say things. Like I said, that's why he said that vandals vandalized the reflection pool. No, no, you said or cheaper. So what's your final figure, Regina? $1 or lower? Over or under $1, Regina. And if under $1, what is it? 75 cent, 99 cent, 97 cent. What is it, Regina? Look, somebody said, why is it liberal losers can never have rational thoughts? I told you. Now here they are talking about crazy stuff, and talking about liberals not having rational thoughts. Yeah, $1. Yeah, Regina thinks $1 gas. Look, this how you know no tax and tips. All these talking points. This is how you know smart people don't like me. Because they just say a bunch of no tax on tips. They're like a bunch of parrots. No tax on tips. He closed the border. He brought out ICE. I did. I asked because I wanted to know, but like I said, what did I say, Regina? You're not that smart, but you actually are. You're smarter than a lot of these. You don't think with a lot of sense, but you actually think with more sense than a lot of these yahoos that's been in my comments, right? So I don't want you to leave here thinking that I think you're smart, Regina, because you're not. But you just happen to be smarter than the average bear in these comments, right? So no, okay, getting poison out of our food. Who is that JFK that talks like this? Why does JFK always sound like he's pushing a turd whenever he talks? Yeah, well, I got, yeah. Stop with these old constipated white boys. I got to do, autism is the worst thing. Oh, man. I told you. Who is my hero, Regina? RFK, yeah, whatever. You know what Kennedy I'm talking about. Correction. RFK Jr. Gonna put the junior on it. That better? Who is my hero, Regina? You see how I can correct myself? See, that's something MAGA can't do. If they make a mistake or they just flat out know something wrong, they'll flat out just know something wrong and they will not fix it. Because it takes a big person to say, you know what, I'll correct that. Who is my hero, Regina? Regina is the person I'm gonna talk to. No, don't tell me about lower drug prices. Because see, all of this stuff is stuff that you sit in front of the TV and listen. Regina, you ain't doing that but repeating to me what he done told you. Who is my hero? You asked me what did my hero do? Who would my hero be, Regina? Please don't say Biden, because that's y'all answer. That is y'all go-to answer. Answer me this, man. Why do y'all blame Biden for everything? You know how I know Dookie was at a. You know how I know Dookie Donnie had a Biden derangement syndrome. Hold on, I want to see Regina answer. Hold on. You know, and I'm gonna speak directly to Regina. You know how I know your hero Dookie Donnie had Biden derangement syndrome? Because he was signing a guitar. Something as simple as signing his signature. And he keeps a bunch of butt kissers around him. He's like, oh, look at that signature. Yeah, Biden couldn't do that. And it's like, sign your name? Like everything he does, he has to compare it. He has to compare it to Biden. And that's how you know he knows that he's a loser and everything he does is losing because he constantly has to tell you. All right, now let's get to Regina comments because Regina's tripping. Okay, stop. See, you said he winning. This is not winning. Okay, so okay, you said stop that from coming over our borders. That is our children, right? And I'm over that word because I don't know if I can say that on TikTok, right? Okay, so Regina, talk to me about the Epstein. Okay, so he did that, but he made sure that it was okay to be a PDO. Right? How do you feel about the Epstein uh debacle, Regina? Since you said that about keeping the children safe. How do you feel about that? See, and like I said, I like the rest of y'all can't have functional conversations. Y'all can't answer questions without having meltdowns. Like I said, okay, so you say he turned in. Do you mean in or on, Regina? Okay, so answer me also. Why was his name redacted like that? Okay, so if he's this, because I also let me tell you something. I have an associate that is, I think, is a Trump supporter. And they have these same talking points. So when I asked, I said, well, why was his name redacted? Right? And I knew it. See, look, I knew it. Joe Biden is just a puppet of Barack. Y'all been saying that for the longest. I'm waiting on Regina. I told y'all, if it's not my people, because y'all love to talk about that, but then y'all love to gloss over the Epsteins. And y'all still believe in Democrat and Republican. I told y'all, one of the stages of creating a cult is to create this cult like us versus them. Us versus them. So everything y'all say, Biden, Biden did that. Biden, Biden, get off. Let Biden go somewhere and go to sleep. You know, that was funny, and I'm really gonna land my plane in a few. So watch them call him Sleepy Joe. And several videos of Dookie up here. Like he don't even know what's going on. He's so sleep. But again, why isn't he being called Dozy? I call him Dozy Donnie. But why isn't he being called Sleepy Don? Exactly. Exactly, LB. They lie because they know that they are going to lose. And they have to do anything they can to stay in power. So they brainwash their minions with BS. Factual. And they believe it. Everything Regina has said has been a Dookie talking point. And it's just, oh, he's Lord this. Okay, so you know what, LB? Fact. I'm gonna talk to LB. I'm tired of talking to y'all lipless people because y'all are drained. But Trump fell asleep during a loud game. Then he has the gall to call Joe Sleepy Joe. Facts, LB. Facts. How do you fall asleep at a loud game like that? Oh man. Oh man. And that's what they're scared of. That's what they're scared of, LB. I'm gonna go back to LB comments. I'm done with Regina. Regina talking about $1 gas and whatnot. So she don't think too good. Exactly. That's what they're that's what and see that's what you like you said, LB. They're trying to do whatever they can to stay in power. So if they gotta deceive, because they're masters of deception, right? So if they gotta deceive, whatever they gotta do. Regina, now you asked me, I asked you, you said, okay, first you asked me, Regina, what, and good job with your, you showed possession. Please teach your other hillbillies the difference between your and your. But you said, what has your team done? Who is my team? I keep asking you. First time you said my hero. And I said, well, who is my hero? Right. You know what? See, this is the thing why I said that, why I feel like it was planned, LD. He was impeached twice for his crime. The only reason he wasn't removed is our traitor, traitorous Senate. And that's how I knew the fix was in. Because we have to understand, like, how could anybody, like, I don't even understand why he was up and eligible to run again. Yeah, she said $1 gas. Yeah. Hey David, she really did. She said $1 gas. She said, and look, David, she didn't stop there. She went full on. She said maybe even lower. But back to LB. Exactly. But see, this is when I knew the fix was in, when he was able to run again. Because how do you start a riot? We're not gonna use that soft word, insurrection. This is why I knew that he's placed here for a reason. I always say America played the Trump card. The average LB, the average citizen that is MAGA is completely clueless of our reality because they only listen to the lies coming from the right. Correct. That's why Regina feels like that gas is going to be that. Right? You didn't actually say, tell me. You keep saying my hero. That means you said, what has my hero done? And then you ask me what have, then you say, I tell you who my hero is. No, you made the statement and said, you asked me, what has my hero? Who is my hero? So once you tell me who my hero is or who you think my hero is, let me ask you like that. Because it's like pulling a redneck's teeth talking to y'all. Who is my favorite politician? Who do you think? Because I feel like you want to say somebody, Regina, but you want me to answer and say something that clearly don't exist. But who do you think? You know what though? You know what though, LB? MAGA is loving life. Democrats wish they had never been born. See, Bush. You know what? No, Bush is what you got for brains, Regina. Bush is what you got for brains. All that to say, Bush. See, she supports the most disgusting person on the planet. And you know what, LB? I'm glad you said that. See, I'll stay and talk for LB. I'll be glad. That's why I said white, black, Asian, whatever. If you still support this administration, you are not a good person. Because he could have finessed them, because that's what he did. He finessed you, Regina, whether you want to know it or not. He finessed the rest of you bucktooth rednecks in my comments. He finessed y'all to make y'all think that y'all were a part of something. He finessed y'all out of America. But if you sit here and you watch what's going on and you still think that he's a good person, you are not a good person. That tells me you don't know anything about character. MAGA is all over the place, apologizing for voting for Trump. Too little, too late. Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do. A lot of them, and that's what I was talking about. I don't know if you was in here earlier, LB, when I was talking about. One, I was talking about two of them. I was talking about the one that was sitting in his car having a meltdown, talking about he hasn't received his Trump phone, and he not LB, not only was he dumb enough to believe in these Trump phones, but he said he encouraged his son to go buy multiple Trump phones. And I want my phone. That's was his word, not mine. I want my goddamn phone. So he finessed them constantly. Donald Khan gets them every time he can, right? So they can't. They can't. They can't, LB. LB said if you ask them to explain their support for someone that protects people, that hurts children, she's got nothing. Right? Right. Notice when I asked her that, she didn't give me an answer. Because you know why she couldn't give me an answer, LB? Because he hasn't given them the correct answer to give. See, they need everything to come from him so they can say it. Right? See, look, nothing. That's what you get talking to these people. Nothing. And then you can't tell them they not no real Republican, LB. Let me read these comments. Look, now she done moved the goalpost. 20 million black. See that I didn't ask you nothing about black babies. I said, what do you feel about the Epsteins? What do you feel about what happens to those children, Regina? What do you feel about what happened to those children? Don't give me a deflection of Donnie. What do you feel? I know you don't know what you feel because he hasn't told you what to feel. Let me go to LB. I'm about not to even listen to you no more, Regina. See, though, I told you. I said, Regina, don't think I think you smart, Regina, because I don't. I want you to know, Regina, I do not think you are a smart individual. I just thought you sound smarter than the rest of the yo-yos. But now you starting to sound just like them, Regina. Some fool said, yo, brother, do something black. Oh man, they say the most ridiculous stuff. Good Lord, these people. Right. See, the Republicans convinces them of everything. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see what Regina done said now, because she's not gonna answer this question. So now she's just gonna flip and start talking about 20 million black people. Notice when I talk about what happens to children at that hand, notice they never gonna give no answer. Right? Because they don't care. They don't care about children. But they'll tell you, they'll say, well, we don't want transgenders playing in the sports. Because that's what Dookie told them to say. And again, I hold the line. I don't think that, no, I don't think transgender should be in that. No, absolutely not. But however, I would deal with a bunch of LGBT and trannies and a bunch of Nazis that want to destroy the world. But they're so brainwashed that they don't understand. Marie LB, I ain't talking to you, Regina. How can you love children, Regina, when you won't even answer? Why is it so hard for you to answer this question? Yep, she has LB. Right. That's LB. LB, you said it perfectly. She's proven. That's why I said she's showing that she's just like them. She's no different. Although they want to, because it is so hard to get her. And this is what happens all the time. It's so hard to get them to answer that question. No, we not. Nobody gonna define nothing else, Regina, because you are just disingenuous. You are mad. You are MAGA, Regina. Let me read the comment. Okay. Yep. She said, look, she noticed. She said, yep, that's me. She claimed that, which indicates that she can hear my question. And the reason I didn't answer your question about who is my hero, because I don't have a favorite politician. See, only people that need leaders, because I understand what America for exactly what it is, Regina. I answer your question. I don't have a favorite politician. I don't have a hero. See, you need a political hero to feel like somebody. See, this is why I call y'all losers. It ain't to name call y'all. That ain't why I call y'all. That ain't why I call y'all losers. That's not why I call you a loser, Regina. You are a loser because you need a favorite politician to give you identity. You need a favorite politician to make you feel like somebody. You need a favorite politician with four letters, MAGA, to make you feel a sense of importance and self worth. And that is why you and the rest of your gang are a bunch of losers. Regina, nobody, listen, Regina, I put you at the forefront because I thought, I told you now, again, I'm going to make it clear. You're not smart, but I thought you had the most sense out of the bunch. But see, that's why sometimes instead of giving them the benefit of the doubt, LB, we got to doubt the benefit that we give them, LB. We got to doubt the benefit that we try to give, because I tried to give Regina, say, you know what, maybe Regina, because at first, let me tell you something, Regina, at first you were answering, you came in, and this is what I will say to you. You didn't come in with the ridiculousness. Even though you did, because like I told you, to be MAGA is to be constantly a hypocrite, right? Or a double-edged sword. I'll say that. So you at least at first you came in and you were answering direct questions until I asked something that made you a little bit uncomfortable, and then you began to forget. You began to forget, and you went a little deaf, and you couldn't hear me. You couldn't hear me when I was asking you that one specific question, Regina. But when I said you are MAGA, you heard me just fine. Then. Oh, hold on. What she had to say? Yeah, he did not, Regina. Stop it. No, no, you're not. You are not a child of God first, Regina. You are MAGA first. Do you? Let me tell you something. Which one do you do more? Listen to Trump or read your Bible? which one do you find yourself giving more attention to, Regina? Trump or your Bible? Be honest. Now, see, I'm asking. You can't redeem yourself, but you can get a little bit of something. Which one do you do more? Which one do you find yourself spending more time with? Listening to Trump's antics or a Bible? Roger Shoemaker said the Bible for me, but I'm not MAGA. You're not MAGA. I said listen to idiot. You don't. Okay. you don't. What's your favorite? What's your favorite scripture, Regina? We're gonna ask Regina some more questions. I told you, Regina, you at least have just a smidgen more sense. Just a smidgen. Right. She protects child pedos that calls himself a Christian. That's why I'm asking them these Christian questions, because notice there are these these white nationalists. I mean white Christian nationalists. Same thing. But notice there are these white supremacist Christian nationalists. And why did Jesus weep, Regina? He wept because he knew Trump was coming. That's why Jesus wept. What is Trump doing now? Being dookie, probably somewhere crapping his pants and falling asleep. Yes, absolutely, LB. If you have seen me, you've seen the Father. No, if I've seen you, that probably indicate that you look like your father, but that's not the same thing, Regina. No, see, I didn't see. Look, you came in and said you read your Bible, Roger, but you said you're not MAGA, so I don't hear you in here making MAGA excuses. So you don't sound like you support foolishness. Look, LB. Somebody said Trump is president, Jesus is Lord. Don't get it twisted. Oh, you know the mocker of God. He will have the last laugh. Man, no, he won't. He won't do squat. Because if he have the last laugh for me for talking about this abomination of a president over him, then that's an unfair God. So you will not try to intimidate me with your holy spookism. See, that's what y'all do. Y'all use God as a pit bull. See, this is why nobody get into your religion, because you want to use the Lord as a pit bull that's always gonna have all of this vengeance on people that mock him. But yet he won't do nothing to people that harm children. Out of here. You ain't your Lord. Cause your Lord ain't my Lord. My people LB. Yeah, no. Regina somewhere between Trump derangement syndrome and Biden derangement syndrome and Christian derangement syndrome. She's all kind of deranged and delulu. No, see, that's what I'm saying though. See, Roger, they try to make you one thing because they don't like what you say, right? So I just match their comments when they come in saying foolishness, because that's what they are, and you have to show them their foolishness. I'm just reading comments. It You know what she said though? You heard her, LB. She said she's what she said? She's God first. No, you ain't. Because you came in talking about nothing about God. You came in talking about MAGA. See, when I said MAGA, she lit up like a Christmas tree. She owned that. She ain't own nothing about no religion. I have who have no Lord. uh, Spookism is a word. Did you just hear me use it? Spookism is a word. See, look, well, at least you know. See, that's what I'm saying. Glad that you can claim and understand that you are delusional, Regina. Because you are. The fool does not believe. Says the fool that continues to vote for the fool that doesn't believe. No, the fool blindly believes. The fool blindly follows. Look, Wakanda syndrome. That don't even make sense. The heck is Wakanda syndrome? Thrives off of division, which is MAGA thrives off of division, which is why their foundation will not endure. You see how Roger Shoemaker came in, and you see how he used the proper there. See, it ain't hard, people. Y'all come in using the wrong there, your, and your, and y'all want to come in trying to insult somebody's intelligence. See, Roger wasn't even in the room. This is just a little FYI. FYI, buddy. The guy mocking those with hope is always, yeah, bad guy. Well, what about the ones that are taking away healthcare? Hmm? What about those that are taking away healthcare? What about those that are trying to strip any type of food program for people that need it? Right? So you can lean more on the hope of your Lord. Why don't your Lord come down and stop this? Okay, notice I say your Lord because you don't determine what I believe. Number one, you don't even know what I believe. But what about that? How does the Lord feel about that? Well, how does the Lord feel about people that's doing that? Oh, here come a Bible verse. Let's see what LB say. Oh no, Regina, LB, Regina will not be answering that question because she's okay with children being harmed. Ain't that right, Regina? That's why she's that's why she's a Christian. I guess that's a win for your husband then, huh? The Lord loves how I take care of mine. How does the Lord feel about pedos? How does the Lord feel about you being quiet to that stuff? Tell me what the Lord feel about that, Regina. Don't tell me about something else. Right, LB. The Lord does not love people who protect. Right. It's so hard. She would not answer this. I'm about to get out of here because I know you've been talking about children. Because what you've been trying to talk about, you've been trying to move the goalposts to black situations. You've been talking about children the whole time, Regina, but you've been talking about children from a disingenuous place. Yes, exactly. I see exactly what you're saying, Regina. But when I ask you a direct question, you won't talk about that. And that's by design. See, that's what you want to do. You want to switch to a black situation. See, because she thinks only black people get abortions. What about white people? What about others, Regina? But see, your program. Nope, I don't want to talk about nothing else, Regina. You done missed the doorway. The door done closed now, Regina, because I was up here. Hold on, I've been up here for over an hour. You said, what do you want to talk about? I don't want to talk about nothing. Because I've been up here for over an hour, and the last 30 to 45 minutes, I've been asking you, and LB have been asking you, LB have been typing to you a direct question, and you refuse to answer that direct question. So, Regina, nobody wants to hear your tomfoolery. But yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here. I will be back later. Shout out to LB. Appreciate the support, LB. Roger, all the people that came in and had civilized answers. Something and Regina, do better. Nope, nope. I don't want you to do nothing else. I don't want you to do nothing else, Regina. You had 30 minutes straight, and that's an undercount. LB was asking you questions. I asked you a repetitive question, and you refused to answer it. So whenever somebody don't answer a question, that's an answer. Whenever somebody refuses to answer a question, they're giving you an answer. Your silence equals complicity, right? Or silence equals consent. Same thing. But up out of